Wyatt unexpectedly kidnaps a human girl, Grey, whom he believes to be his destined mate. How will he face the consequences of his actions? Can Claire help him mend their relationship? What does the future hold for them? Unlock the secret life of a werewolf college student. Subscribe now for exclusive insights. Chapter 32 How do you like your room? I asked Emma, as she sat in the floor staring at her blank sheet of sketch paper. She had been with the pack for 2 weeks, and she was slowly coming out of her shy, scared stage, and now she was showing a lot more anger and irritation at everything. Dr. Heath suggested that it could be the result of her being out of control in her own life for so long. She was just now lashing out. In other words, these were the side effects of Axel's work. Emma shrugged and stared at the floor. Are you hungry? Lana made lunch. I could have her bring some up, or we could go down to the kitchen. Whatever, she mumbled. I sat and waited on her to clarify which she preferred, but when she didn't say anything more I pushed myself up from the floor and stood. I thought we might go outside after you finish eating. It's pretty and you could swim if you want. Her reply was silence. I sighed. What do you want to do, Emma? We can do whatever you want. She looked at me then and with a pitched voice said, Can you take me to my parents and my brother? I froze. No. She knew they were gone. She saw them die. I knew this was one of times she was lashing out at me. She was hurting for her family and I was there. Then I'll stay here, thanks. She picked up her sketch pad off the floor and flipped through the pages. I barely caught sight of the pictures of her family before she closed it. She grabbed her pencils and stood up. She had extreme talent for someone so young. I didn't know many 8-year-old who could draw so well. Okay then. I didn't know how else to deal with this situation. If you change your mind, let me know. I'll ask Lana to bring up your lunch. Don't bother. I'm not hungry. She tossed her art materials on the bed and left for her small bathroom. She shut the door rather loudly and turned on the shower. After a moment that's when I heard it. Her soft sobs just under the sounds of the running water. No matter how much she tried to hide her emotions, they were always there, just beneath the surface. How did it go with Emma today? Lana asked after returning from her room with the empty plate. I knew Emma would be hungry regardless of what she said. She was wired to be difficult right now, and she had every right to be. There was no right way to grieve. She would do whatever she had to get through it. The same, I told her. I don't know what else I can do besides keep trying. That is Dr. Heath's suggestion anyway. She raised her brow at me. Do you have a better suggestion? I shook my head. Maybe you should talk to your mom. She seems to be the mom of moms after all. She might have some suggestions. A small laugh escaped my lips. She is that. I'll never live up to her legacy. Who could? Jennifer joked upon entering the kitchen. I was so glad to have her back from our old pack, even though it had been more than a week ago since she arrived. Hey, I smiled. Hey, she grinned. Tall, blonde and handsome is looking for you. I narrowed my eyes. Kieran isn't blonde. Really? She said in fake shock. I never noticed. She then shook her head at me. I'm talking about Wyatt, sweetie. Has your mate heard you call Wyatt handsome? She rolled her eyes. I do have eyes. It doesn't mean I'm in love with him just because he has a pretty face. Lana laughed. He said he would be in Kieran's office, Jennifer said. I nodded. Fine. Will you please look out for Emma today? Jennifer narrowed her eyes. The kid. You know, I don't think she likes me very much. She doesn't like anyone very much right now, I supplied. Fine. Go see Tall and Dreamy. I've got you covered. I laughed at her. Thanks. I knocked on the office door even though there was no need. I knew Wyatt was waiting for me there. When he opened the door to me he looked frazzled and worried. It was clear he had been pacing the floor for some time. He was restless. Hi. Is everything okay? He shook his head and pulled me inside by my hand and shut the door. When he released me, he began pacing the floor again. It's bad, Claire. I don't know what to do. Oh geez. What happened now? Did you and Kieran fight again? He shook his head. It's nothing like that. We're good for now. I raised my eyebrow. For now. I went to town today. Okay. And I had a fender bender. It was one of the new SUVs. Okay. Well, that's bad, but I don't think Kieran will kill you over it. He can have it fixed. He stopped his pacing and looked at me. That's not the worst of it. There's more. He ran his hand through his hair, making it stick up in places. Mixed with his nervous manner, he looked a bit crazy. She got out of her car to give me her insurance information and... Oh heavens, Claire. What am I going to do? She was beautiful. Okay. So you told her she was beautiful and it freaked her out. Worse? I sort of took her. My heart quickened. You what? I know, he said, guilty. You took a girl just because she was beautiful. People go to jail for things like that. I started pacing the room now. Geez, Wyatt. I know you want to find your mate, but this is just insane. You can't just walk around abducting pretty girls. What were you planning on doing with her? I don't know. I didn't plan that far ahead. I put her in my room. I didn't want her to see a wolf walking around and have a heart attack. Why would that scare her unless great? Just great. I spun on him. She's human. There's more. I shook my head. I can only imagine. She's my mate. My eyes widened. Your mate? A human? Wyatt. That's what I'm saying. Oh no. 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 I stared at him in disbelief before letting my head fall into my hands. A human here on the pack grounds. Kieran will flip. He will kill Wyatt. Of all the stupid things he could have done, he brought her here. Some random stranger, and human one at that end. Wait. I looked back at Wyatt. You said she was your mate. Yes. How did that happen? How is that possible? I had never heard of it before. Can wolves have human mates? It has been known to happen. It's just extremely rare, he explained. What will Kieran say? What are we going to do with her? Take it from someone who has been kidnapped. She will be pissed at you and probably never trust you again. I know. She hit me twice. He rubbed his chest and winced. She hits hard for a girl. I held up my hand. Okay. First, don't say things like that in front of. What's her name? Gray? Gray, I repeated. I was sort of hoping you could talk to her, maybe calm her down. I pulled a hairband out of my pocket and tied up my hair. It was suddenly getting very hot in here. I am only doing this because I'm afraid of what she'll do to you if go back to your room. Go get Kieran and tell him everything so he can fix this. He nodded eagerly. Right. Okay. I'll go do that. He already seemed calmer. I reached for the door and pulled it open, allowing him to go ahead of me. Tell Kieran I'll meet him here once I've assessed the situation. Got it? I made my way up the stairs and to Wyatt's room and waited outside his door for a moment to listen for any signs of danger, but it was completely quiet. I took that as a sign it was okay to enter the room. Without knocking, I slowly opened the door and took a quick glance around. Within a few seconds, something was abundantly clear to me. Grey was a small thing, but she was deadly and, just as I suspected, very pissed off. I opened the door wider and stepped in the room. She immediately picked up a broken lamp from the floor, preparing to hurl it at me when I held up hands in surrender. "I'm unarmed and pregnant. Could you please lower that thing?" She looked alarmed at herself, for a second dropped it immediately. "Sorry. I thought you were someone else." I took another glance around the room. "You made quick work of this place." Chairs and dressers were turned upside down, clothes strewn about the floor. Shampoo bottles from the bathroom busted and seeping into the carpet. And lastly, a busted lamp lay on the floor. Small, but deadly. "If you see that jerk that put me in here, tell him if I ever see him again I'll kill him," Grey said. I could see that she meant it too. She crossed her arms over her chest. I blushed. "That was Wyatt. I'm sorry about him. I promise once this whole thing is sorted out we'll let you go home." That seemed to relax her a little. She combed a hand through her long red, wavy hair and blinked. "What is this place, anyway? Are you all rich or something? This house is huge. It looks like a resort." I offered her a gentle smile. "It's something like that. Are there any more kidnapped girls here, or am I the only one?" "You're the only one. We don't make it a habit of kidnapping people, I swear." She narrowed her eyes at me. "Then why take me? Is that guy Wyatt mental or something?" I titled my head and tried not to laugh. "You could say that. His wolf is certainly mental." "Great. I'm kidnapped by a mental person. Just when I thought my day couldn't possibly get any worse." She sighed. "Look, I promise not press charges, just let me go and get him some help. I know a great therapist. I could refer him if it means he won't be taking any more girls and locking them away." If only she knew. "Fair enough. I'll talk to my husband, and we'll get this whole thing sorted out." She nodded. "Done? Just don't be all day about it. I have to pick up my kid brother from school at 3 o'clock, and if I miss work again, I'll be fired from the gym. I have 2 appointments today I can't miss." "Work, brother, got it." I looked around the room. "Just try not to destroy anything else while I'm gone." "Okay. Fine, just hurry." I stepped from the room and locked the door behind me with Wyatt's key. Lucky for him to have a two-sided lock. On my way back to the office I heard Kieran raising his voice to Wyatt, so I tried to hurry to them before they strangled each other. I pushed open the door without knocking and stared at a red-faced Kieran. He was giving Wyatt his best death stare. I quickly stepped between them and I looked at Kieran. "You know then. Good. Grey has agreed to not press charges if we let her go and get him." I motioned over my shoulder to Wyatt, "Some help." He crossed his arms. "And you believe her?" She seemed genuine. I don't think she was lying. At least that's the feeling I got from her. She really just wants to pick her brother up from school and go to work. I think we have to trust her here. We can't keep her captive. I won't do that someone else. Kieran's eyes softened and cupped the side of my face. I know. I wouldn't expect you to. Wait, you're letting her go? I spun around to Wyatt. Yes, we're letting her go. We can't keep a human here. She's my mate, he stated. I'm aware of that, but keeping her here isn't going to make her love you. Trust me, I would know about that. Humans don't feel things like we do. If you want her, you're just going to have to get her the traditional way. And don't freak her out anymore. I don't think your relationship can take any more damage. It would probably be best if you gave her some space. His look of hurt squeezed at my heart. Poor Wyatt. He really didn't have the best of luck where his mate was concerned. I couldn't imagine having a human as a mate. They don't understand these things. This will certainly complicate things for him. She hates me, doesn't me? I bit my lip. I mean, she did say if she ever saw you again, she will kill you. But that was before I convinced her you were mentally insane. Maybe you should play that card and get her forgiveness. He looked shocked. You want me to tell my mate I'm crazy? She'll never accept me. It's not looking so good right now either, Kieran added. I don't think you have a choice. She can't stay here, so make it work. Wyatt sighed. He looked upset by Kieran's words, but he was fighting hard to keep his wolf at bay. Through gritted teeth he said, "Fine," and spun on his heel and left the room. Kieran sighed and sat down in his chair. Does it ever stop around here? I rounded the desk and sat down in his lap. I'm sorry. You can't really fault him though. His was only acting on instinct. What would you do if I tried to leave? He frowned. Point taken. But the difference is you aren't human. She is. That complicates things. How could we ever trust her around the pack? If she finds out who we are, she can't ever leave here. We can't take that risk. She has to go. I sighed. I know. I'll keep her out of the back where the rest of the wolves are and take her home using the front. You'll have to keep the wolves out of the way until we leave. He agreed. Take Leland and Lana with you in case you run into trouble. I nodded. Will do. Keep watch on Emma while I'm gone. Jen might need some help. And see if my mom will talk to her. She's in the nursery with the pups. He cupped my face and brought my lips to him. Of course. Be careful. You're wearing your tracker. I pulled up my wrist, showing off my bracelet. It's here. You can't be too safe with Axel still out there. He smiled, but only a little. You know, maybe I will lock you up too. I frowned. We already had this conversation. I'm not going to live my life in fear. I won't give him all the power. I'll be careful. He kissed me again. I know you will. I love you, Claire. I love you, too. Chapter 33. Grace strapped herself into the backseat of the sedan after I handed her back her phone that Wyatt took. She sat as close to the door she could. She had a permanent scowl on her face that I wasn't about to approach until I absolutely had to. She already had her mind made up about us, and I don't think I could say anything change that. Are you sure you don't want me to drive? Leland asked before buckling himself in the passenger seat. I started the vehicle. I'm sure. I was the one who promised to take her home, so I'll take her. I gave him a glare, but smiled. It was Kieran's idea to bring you along, not mine. He shrugged. What can I say? I'm trustworthy. And handsome. Yeah. I don't think that last one had anything to do with it. I adjusted my mirrors and drove down the driveway. Felix was at the gate with Dorian, who refused to look at me and cleared the way for us. I gave them a passing nod and speed past the gates down the winding road that would take us away from Kieran and our pack. We drove until we were out of the safety of the covered green and red and yellow trees and pulled onto a busier road heading toward town. So, why do you choose to live so far from civilization? It legit took us almost an hour to get off that mountain and see other humans again. I shrugged. We just prefer it that way. Oh, right. The whole recluse resort thing. Makes sense. If I ever need to get away. She trailed off, glancing at the passing cars outside her window. Actually, never mind. No doubt she was probably remembering Wyatt, the psycho who abducted her. I laughed to myself. If only she understood. You can drop me off at my apartment. My car has probably been towed by now, no thanks to some asshole. I'll borrow my mom's car. Where do you live? I asked her. She was contemplative for a moment before speaking up. I guess I can tell you, providing one of you doesn't show up at my house tonight to kidnap me again. Since you are returning me, I assume I'm safe. In my rearview mirror, I caught her glaring at Leland. He didn't seem to notice her. She must have a thing about trusting guys. Wyatt didn't help that much. Turn onto Green and drive until you pass Handy's Hardware. Turn up Midland Road and there will be apartments at the end of the road. Mine is the second one. I nodded, though I wasn't familiar with this town, so I looked to Leland for help. He gave me a silent nod, so I focused comfortably back on the road. Okay. When the quiet settled back over the car again, I started to broach the subject of pressing charges again to be sure we were on the same page, when someone's phone rang. Gray was the one to answer it. What? She said. As the person on the other end of the line spoke, Gray sighed. Mom, what are you talking about? Where are you? No, I didn't know. I don't. Okay. I'm on my way. I'll be there soon. Why? She shoved the phone into her pocket and huffed. Can we move this thing a little faster? We are barely moving. We are already 10 miles over the speed limit, Leland said. I believe I was talking to her, Gray said irritably. Seriously, I have a family emergency. Can we go any faster? I looked down at the speedometer, then checked my rearview mirror. What are you doing? Leland asked me. I'm trying to get her home. You heard her. It's an emergency. Easy. You don't want a ticket. We are trying to fly under the radar, not above it. You guys are so weird, Gray muttered. Lana laughed quietly beside her. Probably thinking the same thing I was. If Gray could understand. She had no idea who we were. It would most likely scare the life out of her if she did. We are fine, I said. Gray will be home soon and then we can fly under the radar again. Leland didn't like it, but he eased off the subject. Probably for Gray's sake. No need to raise suspicion. Gray lived in a 4-story apartment building beside another one exactly like it. They were both a boring tan color. There was nothing particularly defining or special about them. If it weren't for the colorful changing trees beside them, the place would have looked dead. Maybe living at Kieran's had spoiled me. Gray leapt from the vehicle before the car stopped and slammed the door shut behind her. She didn't bother a second glance or any parting words before she left. I guess I couldn't blame her. She probably never wanted to see us again. I started to back out of the parking lot when Lana held up Gray's phone, which must have dropped. We don't want her coming back for this. Kieran will have a conniption. I groaned and put the vehicle in park and unbuckled my seatbelt. I'll take it to her. You don't know which apartment belongs to her. Then I guess I'll have to ask someone. And I did. The first person that answered the door gave me Gray's apartment number. It was only on the 2nd floor. I walked up the steps to her floor and found her apartment quickly. I knocked twice and after 30 seconds Gray appeared at the door. She narrowed her eyes when she saw me. What do you want? I held up her phone. You left this in the... She grabbed it from my hand. Thanks. She was just about to shut the door on me when a woman, who looked to be in her 40s, yanked it open and marched out. She looked like she had been crying. Excuse me, she muttered as she moved around me. Gray closed the door behind her and rushed after the woman. "Mom, wait up." I took that as my signal to leave and followed them to the parking lot. Gray was yelling something after her mom, but her mom didn't appear to be listening. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to get your brother from school and I'm grounding him for 6 months. Then I'm calling your father and he's coming back home. This has gone on long enough. I don't think that's going to help. Does he even want to come back?" Gray's mom spun on her and wiped her eyes. "It doesn't matter what he wants. It's clear your brother is acting out. First he drops out of soccer, then his grades drop and now drugs. What's next? He drives his car off a bridge. He doesn't have a car. You know what I mean. Or worse, he could knock up that girl he's seeing. What's her name?" "Her name is Sarah, and I don't think that would be worse than driving his car off a bridge." Her mom turned back to the car and opened the door. "Never get married and never have kids. They are too much stress." Gray flinched, but tried to hide it. "Thanks. I'm glad I know how you really feel. You know I wouldn't change things for me. But it's not too late for you. Come on, get in. And call your dad. Tell him to meet us at the school." Gray got inside the car before I got inside of mine and sped out of the parking lot with her mom. My hand was still on the door handle staring after them. I knew it was wrong to stand there and listen, but I couldn't help it. Maybe if I could come back with some information, any information, Wyatt would appreciate it. He knew practically nothing about his mate and I barely knew more. I pulled on the handle and got inside the car. Lana and Leland stared at me, waiting for an explanation of what had just transpired in the parking lot just now. I shrugged. Her brother is in some kind of trouble, her and her mom were arguing about it. I didn't ask questions. That girl seems to have a lot going on. Wyatt needs a lot of luck with her. It's always the hot ones that are crazy. Leland shook his head and backed out of the parking space. I don't think it makes her crazy that she didn't want to be kidnapped and was willing to fight her way out." He stopped to let 2 cars drive by in front of us, then proceeded to the exit. "It's not just that. You can tell she has wild eyes. She's feisty and tough. Isn't that a good thing? She has no problem taking care of herself. If you ask me, that's a good quality to have." He nodded. "It is. But I think she's going to be too much for Wyatt." He smiled. "You'll see." "Want to bet on it?" Lana asked. Leland looked intrigued. "What are talking? Money or a lifetime of servitude?" She smirked. "Why not both? I like it." I threw up my hands and tried not to laugh. "You two are despicable, and you shouldn't be trying to profit from Wyatt's mate." "What can I say? I'm an opportunist," Leland said, turning onto the main road. When we made it back to the packed territory, Wyatt was waiting for us at the garage. He looked anxious and had probably been waiting there for a while. He rushed to me as soon as I got out of the vehicle. He followed me toward the house. "How did it go?" "Fine. We took her home and left." Apparently that answer wasn't good enough. "Did she say anything to you in the car? You saw where she lived, right?" "She said very little, and I'm not going to give you her address if you're going to stalk her. You need to give her some time, and then you can casually run into her somewhere. If you're truly mates, then the universe will bring you two together again. You can't be kept apart for long." As I glanced at him, he was looking back at me, none too thrilled. Who knows how long that could take? I sighed. "I know, but the best things are worth waiting for. As someone once said, anything worth having doesn't come easy. You're going to have to be patient and work for it. But since she's your mate, you know it will be worth it. You're such a loner right now. I had a feeling he wasn't giving me a compliment right now, but I smiled anyway. Thank you. Can you at least tell me how she was before you left her? He pulled the door open for me to enter into the house. Busy and arguing with her mom. But overall, she was fine. Trust me. He looked like he wanted to argue, but changed his mind at last minute. Kieran wants you to come to his office to make sure everything went well. Okay. I walked ahead of him to find Kieran, then stopped, feeling like I should try to do something more for him. I turned back to face Wyatt. Look. If you have seen her in a couple of weeks, we'll figure out the next steps together. Just promise me you'll give it that at least. He hesitated, but after a few seconds said, okay. I'll try. I smiled. Good. I'll talk to you later then. And I went to find Kieran. Later that night, as we were lying in bed, discussing the future of the pack, and Axel and Wyatt, Kieran turned onto his side and brushed a stray hair from my face, tucking it behind my ear. He was just watching me. I blushed. What? He didn't say anything for a long time, then leaned forward and rested his head against mine. I was just thinking. About what? How lucky we are that things turned out this way. About you and me, I mean. I couldn't imagine things ever being different. I used to think that without Jasmine I would fall apart, that my wolf would eventually drive me crazy. But then I found you and everything changed. It was almost like fate was offering us a second chance, and it all led to this. He lifted his hand and placed it on my stomach. And this? I looked down and smiled. We are lucky. When I looked back up, I placed my hand on the side of his face and leaned forward to kiss him. Thank you for putting me back together. You put me back together too. You are amazing, Luna, and I know you'll be an amazing mom. I couldn't be happy without you. Me either. Just as I was about to kiss him again, a knock sounded on the door and Kieran groaned. Never a moment's peace. Of course not, I laughed. You are the alpha after all. He groaned and got up to get the door. Kieran, I mean, Alpha Kieran. Emma's having nightmares again. She's crying and she won't stop. I immediately sat up and walked to the door. Where is she? In her room. I came to get you when she wouldn't, Mom. Dad. Brother. Emma stepped around Jennifer in the door and spoke with a wail. Tears were pouring down her face. I squatted down in front of her and wiped away her tears before picking her up. She was light for an 8-year-old, but she was long. Shush, I told her and looked at Jen. I've got this. Thanks, Jen. Kieran bid her good night before closing the door. I walked Emma to the bed and lay her down next to me. She snuggled into me and whimpered. Kieran stood above us, watching. Sorry, I mouthed. He shook his head in a that's okay way, and got into bed on the other side of me. I wasn't a mother yet, but it felt that since becoming pregnant, I was finding a maternal side to me I never had before. As I lay there, I tried to recall a song my mom used to sing to me when I was little and began humming it until I slowly found the lyrics. Smile though your heart is aching, smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by if you smile through your fear and sorrow. Smile and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. What's that? Emma paused her crying long enough to ask. A song my mom used to sing to me when I was sad. I like it, she said quietly, as if afraid to say it too loudly. I took that as a sign to continue. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness, although a tear may be ever so near. That's the time you must keep on trying, smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. That's really beautiful, Kieran whispered. I didn't know you could sing. I guess I haven't had a reason to until now. I rubbed the top of Emma's head. She looked at me now with dried tears on her face. Did your mom sing any more songs to you? I smiled, recalling the memory. Oh, lots of them. She loves to sing while baking, cleaning, getting ready, putting me to bed. She has a lovely voice. Will you sing them to me too? As I looked at her, I saw the sincerity in her eyes, and as long as it helped her, I wanted to do it. So I took a breath and started to sing another song. A gentle breeze from Hushabye Mountain softly blows o'er Lullaby Bay. It fills the sails of boats that are waiting to sail your worries away. At some point Emma and I both drifted off to sleep, and in my ear I heard Kieran whisper, "I love you, Claire," before switching off the lamp. I love you, too. And in that moment, everything truly felt perfect. Chapter 34, Wyatt's POV. 9 days. It's been 9 days since I last saw her. It feels like I'm slowly going insane. I can't eat, I can't think, I can't sleep, and Kieran is probably considering finding himself a new beater. I guess I wouldn't blame him. I haven't been much use to anyone. I lean over the bar and pick up a bottle of whiskey while the bartender busies herself with another patron. I decide to bypass the glass this time and go straight for the bottle. I take a long gulp. To any other person it would look like I was wasting my life away here in the trenches. Stupid name for a bar. I didn't choose it. I see the same faces every time I come in. They don't judge me, they are just as bad. I pick up on bits and pieces of their conversations. I feel like I'm beginning to know their lives. Brett is here to forget his ex-wife. He tells the bartender as much every night. She left him, took his kids, and is currently suing him for child support. Travis is here to pick up women. He's single and he prefers it that way. He doesn't like commitment, and neither do the girls he gets involved with. Alex, he's in a band. He comes here to drink and write lyrics. He doesn't bother anyone. He's the quiet type. But me, I'm here for a different reason. I'm not trying to forget anyone, or pick anyone up. I come for the alcohol. It helps me sleep. And if I sleep, I don't think about her as much. I don't do it for me. It's for my wolf. My wolf is restless. The alcohol numbs him a little. He relaxes more. I say he, but he's just another part of me. A part of me that needs Grey. I stop to think of her name. I haven't thought about her name in a while. It's beautiful. I don't know why her parents picked it out for her, but it fits. It's the calm before the storm. When the sun begins to fade to the background, when the grey rolls in and takes over the sky. Its color is a promise of something more, a warning of the storm to come. That's when the world is at its quietest. They are all waiting to see what comes of the grey, how bad it will be. That's the way I think of her. How bad is it going to be? She hates me, thinks I'm insane. She wants nothing to do with me. How hard is she going to make this for me? I never thought a simple human could do this to me. She's leveled me. A once tall, strong building now in ashes and mortar on the ground. There's nothing left. I take another drink and lay a 50 on the bar. Time to call a cab. I need to get home before the buzz wears off. I can't sleep then. I've tried to drink at home, but she haunts me inside those walls. I see her everywhere. She was only there for half a day, and the place was already hers. She was in my room. My room. How the hell am I supposed to sleep there now? I've screwed everything up. I don't even know how to fix this. My phone rings. I struggle to pull it from my pocket. It gets caught at the end and falls from my hand onto the hardwood floor. I reach for it, and wince at the half-broken screen. It was a shitty phone anyway. At least the screen still works. Hello. Kieran is looking for you. Hello to you too, darling. You're drinking again, aren't you? Claire's soft voice floats through the phone. I laugh, or try to. It ends up coming out as a grunt. Am I that easy to read? Your words are slurring. I can hear the disappointment in her voice. She sighs. Okay. I'll just tell him you're out. Do you have a ride home? I'll call a cab. She sighs again like she doesn't know how to deal with this with me. No. Don't do that. Kieran will see the cab pull up and he'll chew you out again. I'll come get you. What's the address? I look toward the sign on the wall even though I already know the place. The trenches. She makes a disgusted sound. All right. I'll be there in 15. Stay where you are. I hang up the phone, sit back down at the bar. The bartender is here now and she's staring at the bottle in my hand. She's pretty, with long black hair, dark skin and a tattoo on the inside of her elbow. I've asked her about it before, but she never wants to talk about it. Cleaning me out again? She asks. She's not angry, just stating the facts. I nod and push the 50 toward her. For your trouble. She picks up the money and pushes it into her bra. It's not my trouble I'm worried about. How are you getting home? A friend. She raises her eyebrow. A girl. As a matter of fact, she is. She smiles. I thought you weren't here for that. I shrug. I'm not. She's a friend. She shakes her head and starts to walk away. Well, tell your friend to keep a better eye on you. One day you're going to wander in here and never leave. She looks to the other end of the bar where a balding man is sleeping next to a half-full glass of beer. I do my best to light a cigarette, but the rain won't let up. I push myself under the overhanging roof, outside the bar, but it's not enough to keep me dry. A pair of headlights swerve into the parking lot and stop beside me. I don't have to see the driver to know who it is. It's the only one of Kieran's cars that Claire likes to drive. It's all but hers now. She leans over and opens the door for me. I get it and smile. Such a gentleman. She tries not to smile, but she does anyway. Shut up. Is that any way to talk to your beta? Is that any way to talk to your Luna? She counters. I close the door, and she pushes through the rain and pulls out onto the road. I lean back into the seat and close my eyes, letting the roar of the engine soothe me into sleep. I don't know how long I sit like that, but after what feels like a few minutes Claire shakes me awake. I force my eyes open. Yes. I'm dropping you off around back. Kieran is in the pack building finishing up some business. He won't hear or see us. I nod and close my eyes again. Good girl. Don't sound so approving, she says. I lied to Kieran for you. I open my eyes again. And why did you lie to him? I can handle him. She's quiet for several long seconds, and then she shifts gears and turns onto our driveway. Because I don't want you two to damage your relationship any more than you already have. You two are supposed to be best friends, and it's been different lately. Whose fault is that? Yours, she says matter-of-factly, then quieter she says, and Kieran's. It's hard for him to understand what you're going through. This thing with Gray. He doesn't understand because he doesn't want to. He's worried about the pack because she's human. That's true, but we are going to figure it out. It's been 9 days, Claire. You said you would help me if I gave it a couple of weeks. That time is almost up. What are you going to do? She blinks a few times and glances at me. In a low voice she says, I don't know. I run my hands through my hair. I'm losing it, Claire. Like, really losing it. I'm seeing her everywhere. And last night I dreamed of her. I can't even escape her there anymore. I'm sorry you don't get it. No one does. She hits her hands on the wheel. Okay. You're right. I said I would help, and I will. I owe you that much. You did save my life. You don't owe me anything for that. She pushes her hair out of her face. I do though. And it doesn't matter because I would help you anyway. You know Kieran won't like this. Yeah, well, I'm a big girl, I can take care of myself. She glances at me again. I'll help you, Wyatt, just let me come up with something first. We pull up to the back of the house and Claire nudges my arm. Now get out of here before Kieran shows up and chews us both out. I push the door open and wobble until I get my balance. Claire looks concerned, but I assure her I'm fine and close the door behind me. I don't wait for her to park the car before I make my way inside the house. I come in through the kitchen. All the lights are off except the one above the stove and no one is there. I bump into a few chairs as I pass them, but no one hears me. The stairs are another matter altogether. I catch myself several times before I fall, and one time I do fall. Everyone must be in their rooms for the night, because no one comes out to see what the disturbance is. I am relieved when I make it to my room. The room only barely spins. I barely get the door closed before I take down a lamp beside me. The shade falls off, but the bulb doesn't bust. I groan. I'm a mess. I fumble for the bed, ready to collapse when a vision in red catches my eye. She's standing by the bed in a long red dress, with her long red hair spilling down her back. She smiles at me, but doesn't speak. You again, I say. She sits next to me after I throw my arm over my eyes to block her out. I think I feel the bed shift. Or maybe it was me that shifted. I can't really tell. You're torturing me. But it's better than being alone. She touches my hair and I sigh. Where are you? I ask. She taps my forehead. In here. I roll over and face her. You won't make this easy for me, will you? Again, I'm greeted with a smile and no words. Jesus, she's beautiful. Her hair, her dress, her light freckles that decorate her nose and cheeks, the lips that always look a little bit pink. She'll kill me if she isn't careful. I've fallen so deep. Go to sleep, she whispers. It's always better in the morning. I look at her, really look at her. She looks like Grey, but not the hard, tough girl I remember. This girl is soft and gentle. That's when I really know my mind is messing with me. If Grey were here she'd be angry. Hell, she'd probably punch me. No, this isn't Grey. This is just my mind. I smile at her and she at me, and that's all I see when the lull of sleep finally pulls me under. At 9 a.m. Claire wakes me, her eyes are bright. She's standing over me smiling. Are you watching me sleep? Don't flatter yourself. She nudges me in the arm. Get up. Why? I groan. Kieran has an errand for you. I force myself to sit up. You seem far more excited about that than I am. You'll want to do this, trust me. She's practically beaming. It was my idea. I nod. So that explains it. What are you having me do? We are going to the pharmacy to pick up few necessities. I suddenly ran out of prenatal vitamins last night. So I'm your errand boy. No, you are going to meet Grey. As if I drank a shot of pure caffeine, I feel awake and alert. I jerk. How? She looks down, sheepishly. I've been having Leland keep an eye on her until I figured out what to do. She looks up. Her mom works as a pharmacy tech, and she's picking up her mom from work today. I jump up. Let's go right now. Whoa, whoa. Hold on. Her hands shoot out at me. Her mom won't be off work for at least 7 more hours. We can't just show up now and hang out all day. That will look suspicious. I groan and rub my face. So we sit here all day and wait. Why did you even wake me up? Because I thought you'd want to know the plan. The plan would have been the same 2 hours from now. She crosses her arms. And? You need to get up and get yourself together. It's time to start proving yourself stable to Kieran. Go do your duties. Be a beater. If you pull it off, he won't feel so nervous about you leaving with me later. I nod. Good point. Exactly. She pushes me toward my bathroom. Now go clean up. Time is ticking. I smile. As you wish, Luna. I pad to the bathroom with bright smile on my face. For the first time in weeks, I feel like I have something to look forward to again. Today, I was meeting my mate and I wouldn't let anything go wrong. Not this time. Don't get left behind in the chase for independence. Hit subscribe and ring the bell for alerts on the next adventure.